Hi, everyone. It's Jennifer Woofter from Strategic Sustainability Consulting popping in again with our next installment of how to be a better sustainability consultant. We got a question last week about how to ensure client satisfaction. And I think one tip that I have is about keeping everybody on the same page over a longer term. So when you have sustainability consulting projects that go 3, 4, 5 or more months, probably the people you're working with on the client side aren't actively engaged in the sustainability work every single day. You may be engaging with someone from facilities, someone from supply chain, someone from HR that may have a piece of the pie, but is probably not engaged all the way through. The same thing with an executive sponsor. If you are directly reporting to the executive VP of operations, they probably have a lot of other things going on as well. So a bi-weekly status update from you to your main client contacts can go a long way towards making sure that everyone's on the same page all the way through the project. I use a standard template. It has 3 parts. If you printed it out, it would take no more than a single page. And I send it in an email. And those 3 parts are: first, it includes a summary of what has happened over the previous 2 weeks. That's just a short bullet point list of the key accomplishments and things that we've checked off that we are considered done over those last 2 weeks. The middle section, or the second part, is challenges and obstacles. So if we've run into a roadblock, like, Jim over at facilities hasn't been able to collect his data by the original due date, or because of inclement weather, we rescheduled the visit out to the mill last week. Identifying those obstacles and adding a sentence about how you're going to mitigate it. So maybe, we've rescheduled out for 2 weeks and this will only push our total deadlines back 1 week. Or Jim, we've reached out to Donna, also in facility. She's going to help Jim complete the data collection. Something that shows that you're not only identifying problems as they arise, but also have a plan in place to solve them. And then the third part of the template is what's coming up for the next 2 weeks. So it's sort of prepping people, priming them to understand who you'll be contacting, what type of information you'll be focused on, what parts of the company will be involved over the next 2 weeks. The benefit of doing a standard template format update is that on the client side, they will start to expect it. They will very likely ask you fewer questions in between status because hopefully you've preemptively answered them. But that they will also start to trust the process more. You will get fewer of those phone calls in between that say, what's happening with our project? Because you can point back to it. It also is going to identify any places where you and your main client counterpart are not on the same page. As much as we try to clarify things in the scope of work and in proposals, there will inevitably be a time when people realize, I didn't realize that's what we were doing in this section of the project. And you want to make sure that you can identify those places where you've diverged as early as possible. And having that biweekly status update is a great opportunity for people to flag early, oh, that's not what I thought was going to happen. Let's dig a little bit deeper and get back on track. That will save you a lot of client grief later on when you've invested a lot of time and energy in doing what you think is supposed to be done, and the client is trying to pull you back saying, no, that's not actually what we thought needed to be done. The sooner you can identify those places, the better, and that biweekly status update is a great place to do that. As a sort of an added benefit, you then now have a record going back, an archive of the project, so that when it comes to writing up a case study or closing out the debrief at the conclusion of a project, you have pre-written a lot of the things that you will be using to close out a project or to get it into that next step of marketing or using it as a referral or a case study. So that is my tip. Do a biweekly status update and use a template to make it easy for you and easy for the client. That's one way to be a better sustainability consultant.